In Nigeria, the salary of the common medical laboratory scientist has not kept up with inflation. It is sometimes much lower than the salary of individuals in other professions that require a similar level of education and training, hence why many are leaving this field to go into others where they can make more money. I still remember last year when a guest on the podcast told the story of a friend who was paid about 30,000 naira a month at entry level. 30,000 naira also happened to be the amount to buy a bag of rice, staple food in this country. To discuss this, we sit down with a medical laboratory scientist, Daberechi Ikegwoha, to discuss poor payment practices in the medical laboratory sector in Nigeria. Without much further ado, let's talk MedLab. Hello, lab expert. Once again, welcome to the Rock Diagnostics podcast. Like I was saying earlier, in today's episode, we sit down with a medical laboratory scientist from Nigeria, Daberechi Ikegwoha, and we're going to be discussing unfair salaries in the medical sector, especially in the laboratory in Nigeria. So, Daberechi, how are you doing today?
I'm very well. I'm fine. Thank you.
It's really nice to meet you. Before we get to talking about the medical laboratory science field salaries, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you and why are you? How did you get interested in medical laboratory science?
Okay. I am Ikegwoha Daberechi, as you mentioned, the medical laboratory scientist, hematology and specialty practicing in Nigeria. I have over 10 years practice working in the laboratory. My initial course I wanted to do was medicine and surgery, but because of the competitiveness, so I ended up doing medical lab science. But it's not that the interest grew while I was studying the course, because you got to, it's an interdisciplinary course where you meet so many. You read about so many disciplines. You read about pharmacology. You read about, you meet your aligned related disciplines. So, and also I fell in love with researching about organisms. It's got quite interesting. And also with the new technologies, new policies, it's a very interesting course and a lucrative course too. So I fell in love with the course. So since then, I've never turned back or regretted ever being a medical laboratory science. So it has been from one progress, one research to another, and all that. So it's been an interesting journey for me. Thank you.
So 10 years, actually, that's quite a while. So you have enough experience. You've been to various kinds of laboratories, or in your whole stay, have you been in a single lab?
I worked with both private and public laboratories. During my internship, I worked with Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital in Enugu. Then I served in Federal University of Technology in Owerri, or in Nigeria. So, and also worked in various private hospitals and diagnostic centers in Nigeria. It has been a lot of experiences and a lot of journey and a lot of lessons we learned and we keep learning. So it's a very interesting journey for me. And in the course of the advent of COVID-19 pandemic, so I was opportune also to do some certification course in molecular biology. So currently I am practicing in a molecular diagnostic center. That's basically that. So it's an interesting journey for me.
All right. So you've been in both the public sector and the private sector. What's, according to you, has been the marked difference, the big difference between working with the public and then working in the private sector?
There are a lot of differences in terms of work ethics. In Nigeria here, we have Medical Laboratories Council of Nigeria that they oversees how the practice are in Nigeria, the accreditation, the certification, and all that. But then in private sector is is one is I would say that is not really organized in the sense that the people don't have that particular way of doing things. Each organization set their own rules, do their own thing in terms of salary wise, structure their salary the way they want, unlike the government establishment where you have a structured salary for the health worker for every department. So you don't find it in private sector, and I think that is a very huge difference. So in terms of the broadness of the practice, the broadness of that is the test scope. We talk about the tests that are being done. Sometimes most private sectors don't have that broadness, unlike the government hospitals. So that are major challenges and major difference we found in the both sectors. So the test scope, the salary structure, the way things are being done, the good laboratory practice are not so much obtained in most private sector like the government government establishments.
All right, so you pointed out the lack of structure in the private sector. Is it that the Medical Laboratory Science Council is not really able to get that in check because there are so many laboratories around, or what's the issue?
Yes, the issue is generally Nigeria as a large has a problem with leadership as affects every other sectors, not just in medical laboratory, because we have a lot of leadership issue, political will to effect some changes in the sector, and I feel that the council is not really doing much in regards to that. In Nigeria, you find that we are not, I'm not sure, but we are not up to 50 scientists. But if you look at the practice in Nigeria as a whole, you see more than 50 scientists operating. So we have so many quacks. You find them mostly in private sector. Then during accreditations, there are ways, they bypass things. Right things are not being done. The checks, the certifications, the accreditation, making sure that the right things are done have not really been taken seriously in most of the private sector. But in public sector, because it's government and establishment, they take those things more seriously in making sure the right thing is being done. So it's more of a leadership issue we are having here.
Yeah.
So if the leaders can get it right, the council can get it right, our major challenges might not will be really handled.
Okay, now when you say 50 scientists, you mean 50 that own laboratories?
50,000.
All right, 50,000.
Practicing scientists, looking at that, we are over 200 million in population. It's not like 50, I'm just, I'm just giving you an idea. I'm not certain of the yes, but I'm just trying to give you an idea of what I'm talking of. We are over 200 million in population. So you have like about 50 scientists that are licensed to practice, but in facilities, the health facilities now, we have more than those people practicing. So the council is not really doing their work in making sure that the right personnel is working in those institutions.
Okay, now there's a very interesting word that you used earlier when you were, I don't remember, I believe it's when you were presenting yourself. You said that the medical laboratory science profession is a very lucrative profession. Now, that means what are the paths to take in order to make sure that it can be lucrative? Because when you talk to different people, you get different kinds of answers. Some, like you, say it's lucrative, and then some say it's not worth it. Now, that means that somewhere there's probably I'd say an optimal path to take to ensure that you are able to live from the profession. So according to you, what is that?
It's lucrative. It is when you compare with other professions like microbiology, like some medical courses too, even like pharmacy, radiology is a very lucrative course because in every hospital, there should be a medical lab scientist working there in each department. So there are job opportunities. But one major some of the factors that affect the earning, because when lucrative is that the job opportunity is there, then what you earn is now another thing. Yeah. So the education, from my own experience, the department now I'm looking at the training of a lab scientist.
Yeah.
There are a lot of work that needs to be done in a way of streamlining. Let me use MSurg for example, medical medicine and surgery for example. Their training. They have this stipulated amount of doctors each school should graduate every year, unlike what is obtained in the medical lab sciences department. Where I graduate, they can admit 100 to 150, even some schools take up to 200. How can you manage and train such bulk such amount of students, and also quality training? Now we are talking of quality training in the lab. You are doing lab posting, practicals. How can you manage such huge amount of students? That is a lot of work. And when we manage to graduate, you now find that because of this kind of training, when you compare with the 21st century practice now, that is international standard practice now, it may not really be what you saw in school. So you now have to go and get additional skill on your own if you want to now be on top of your career. You don't look at what you got. The school will just give you the basic of what the general outlook of what medical lab science is, what medical lab science is all about. So now you have to do the work of getting additional skills. Like I am a hematologist, but when COVID came in, there's 21st. I don't know. Then I didn't know about PCR. I don't know about immunoassay and all that. So I had to on my own start seeking for the knowledge so that I'll be relevant there. Yeah. So most of the top earners in this field are people that go out of their way to get extra knowledge and add it to their skill. So your professional experience matters also. You have to be intentional in growing your skill. So it's not about jumping from one job to the other. You have to really be intentional. Do you want to be a chemical pathologist? What does it take? What is the international to be a what is the good laboratory practice? Another thing I want to talk about is good laboratory practice. You don't find the private sectors that I've worked 50% of I think I have worked like 2 or 3 private sectors. 2 or 3 of them, they don't really practice good laboratory practice. Quality control, validation of results, verification of your results, your safety protocols, all those things. They now take the laboratory work as routine work. You come, do a particular thing using your SOP, churn out results. My result is ready. You send it to the doctor, and that is it. There is no validation of your result. This thing I'm producing, is it quality result? This thing I'm doing, what is? Another thing is, I think what is really affecting our profession is the way we brand ourselves. We don't really brand ourselves like the way people perceive us. People don't, especially. I'm not talking about clients or patients. Now I'm talking about our fellow professionals, like the doctors, the pharmacy, the nurses. How do they perceive us? Because they will not ask you, what are you bringing to the table in patient management? Patient management is not all about saying that doctor requests for a particular test, you go into the lab, is now positive or negative, or is a particular number, you give the doctor back. No. You have to go to extra mile. Do you know the pathophysiological of that result? Do you know the predictive value of the test you are doing? You have to, even there are some platforms that in the comment section, there are always comments. What do you write there? So you have to, put yourself to the table and show people, your colleagues that I have some, I know what I'm doing. So it's not all about a morphological approach. No, you have to, you have to show that really I know what I am doing. I know the relevance of this test I'm doing to the patient management. So then another thing that I want to talk about is the hiring company. The place you work is also what affects the salary. Is it a very structured organization? There are organizations that are not. There are some people that even pay by percentage. What do you work? What did you bring out per month? They not pay you. So the hiring company also is essential. While looking for a job, you consider all those things.
Yeah.
So,
because I've always thought, I actually didn't know there were labs out there that did that specifically, but I've always thought that would probably be a nice sort of package for medical laboratory scientists to get them a lot more invested in their work. Because if they know that they do a specific number of tests well enough by the end of the month, then they have an idea of what they can get by the time they are done. So let's say you're able to bring in 1 million. If let's say what you're getting back is 10%, okay, this month, okay, I have 100,000. And so it also, at least the way I see it can also help increase the trust that they have in the company that they are working for, and also help them do some extra advertising to bring extra people. Because one problem we have, and so going back to the earnings, some people who you see them, okay, they complain about earnings, but then the extra problem is, apart from that, they might start collecting money from people here and there to come and do exams for free in the lab, which of course is not good for the laboratory. And so over time, those labs will tend to disappear. And so I think it's a bunch, like you said, it's a bunch of problems that kind of come together, compile on top of each other. And then in the end, it's really bad for the profession.
Yeah, actually, while I was, brainstorming about this topic, I personally categorized the major problems of this profession into 3. The one we get from the training, the one we ourselves give to ourselves, and then from our council. The one from our trade is when you train a lot of people and all that, you churn out people that are not really well grounded. Then secondly is our integrity. You see that some scientists are not that honest. Honest in such a way that they don't practice good laboratory practice, because if you practice it, you will not be going at the back to collect sample and all that. You have to do the right thing. In fact, when you take any organization, you should have to take any organization you are working as your own. You have to make sure that is standard when the practice is standard, is standard. Your results is quality results, the patient management, the good communication. Once you do that, once you have integrity, you will not be going at the back or doing shortcuts. But when you start doing that, it means that you are also not in compliance with the best practice. When you read your ISO manual, you see all these things. When you are doing the right thing, you will not have that. You will not have that. That gap will not come and you for you to start thinking of going behind to do such thing. No, you have to be best, do your best. So most of us, we look at the money. It's not like the money is not good. Of course, it's good. It's a good motivation. But the major thing is the passion we have for the profession that will make us to be keen to bring in more. When we bring in more, of course, we'll be rewarded. Then thirdly is then what the council is doing. So if all these 3 things, these 3 sectors can be handled, we will enjoy the profession. It's a very good and lucrative and a major a profession for patient management.
Yeah, and it's extremely important for the patients, of course. And when it comes to earnings specifically, do you have an idea what entry-level earnings are for medical laboratory scientists in general in Nigeria?
Approximately, for 1 to 5 experience, they have like, you can earn up to 1.2 million per hour, 1.2 million per annum.
Okay.
Yes, averagely. But yes, as your experience increases, your earning increases. So, but you have on that, the private sector pays much more lower than what you find in government on the lower side. So
I see. So, which means that most people who complain about salaries, I'm guessing, are mostly in the private sector. But I remember I last year interviewing a couple of people about salaries, and they telling me that there were places where you would get like 30,000, 40,000 naira as proposals for entry salary. And the problem is, of course, those places do that, for example, because they know, like you said, the training. There are so many people who are trained, and so there are so many people looking for jobs. So they go from, I'm guessing, the idea that they'll find someone anyhow that's going to fulfill that job because they actually need the job. And so I'm guessing that's one of the reasons why the salaries would be that low in the private sector, like you were saying.
Yes. There are so many scientists out there looking for jobs. Many are not really grounded in the profession. I'm sorry to say that many are not really grounded at that entry level. And then our council is not really, because, it's business, it's somebody's business. First of all, a hospital is and it's not government funded. So the person has to make the money to be able to pay you. We understand that. That's where the council comes in. In a particular sector, how many hospitals are supposed, let me use laboratory now, how many laboratories are supposed to be within a particular sector, a location, within a particular location? Then how do you make sure that the person working there is a medical lab scientist? So that's where the council comes in, and they are not really filling in this. So people that are now scrapping for a particular job are not only medical lab scientists. You have people from microbiology that that is microbiologists. You have biochemists. You have science lab technicians or technology. So many people are still trying to get the same job we are looking for. So that is another thing. Then thirdly is now the personality, the quality of the medical laboratory science. I'm telling you that there are some scientists that when you interviewing them, from what they said, you will not even have the mind to start telling them that you pay them 100K. No, you won't. From how the person presents him or herself, the least you will hear is sorry, we may not be able to pay you. That's basically that. So when you are grounded in the field, nobody will start telling you that. So, but when it looks like it's a routine work, we just do our normal MP with that and all that, it is now anything goes. So, but if you want to distinguish yourself, you have to work for it, add an extra skill, make sure you are up to date, your CPD, you continuously train yourself. When we say continuously train, it's not really that you go and buy master's form or those are good, but there are short-term courses out there, even online courses that you can do. Even council organize their own association of medical lab scientists. Some hospitals, they organize courses. So you continuously train yourself and see what other people are doing, so that when opportunity will always come, and when it comes, you will be able to showcase your skill. When you showcase your skill, of course, you will get a very good pay for your service.
Yeah, so you said essentially people should be ready for when opportunities come. Yes, like you said, there are a ton of opportunities online, tons of websites where you can learn actually a whole lot, and a lot of them are actually free. Stuff from the WHO, stuff from American organizations and such. Now, once you have this knowledge and you're trying to find opportunities, where could you look as a scientist who is developing themselves, who is looking for new opportunities? Where are some places that they could go and look to try and get something for all the time they've been spending learning new skills?
There are many ways to put out yourself. One is by volunteer work. I encourage new scientists that want to make really difference to start with the volunteer work. It will not be easy for a start, but with time you will get to enjoy the experience. Don't start from somewhere that will, won't, when you come out of school, how you start matters. When you start from an organization or institution that don't do the right thing, it really affects your professional progression because your mentality will be you will not have that standard mentality. But when you start in an organization that take their quality control seriously, their external quality control seriously, that take practice good laboratory practice, maintenance culture, the way you see things will be different. So when you know that, okay, you cannot get it you can do volunteer work. You can get basic, a minimal work somewhere, then find an organization, a bigger, even if it's government hospital, you can say, oh, I want to be coming around so time and see. From there, sometimes opportunity comes, they will fill you in. But even if opportunity doesn't come, it comes outside, you have the skill, you have the knowledge to yourself. So then as a medical lab scientist, you have opportunity also to know this this COVID-19 pandemic open a lot of doors for medical lab scientists. Before the pandemic, it was like, what is next? So when the pandemic came, it's really opened so much doors for us. So, especially in the new ones, you have to really grab the opportunities. The opportunities are there. You can get an international certification. Even that we're experiencing all these things in Nigeria, I can tell you that Nigeria is one of the countries that is all over the world. We export here. Nigerians go as far as UK, US, Canada, Saudi Arabia. Maybe you check the one you can do. Is it UK? You have a HCPC. You go to their website, check their requirements, gather the materials, the money, and all that, and make sure you get certified. Is it for Canada? They have ACPI or something. Is also, you can browse it, you can Google it, check their certifications, the requirements for their certification, get them, So we can look outside our vicinity, our country, and check the neighboring where our services are well appreciated. But it's not, before you get there, you still have to work on yourself. You have to really, really work on yourself for you to be able to get there. Then there are some NGOs too. There are some non-governmental organizations. Most people that I know, they started as volunteers. They get incorporated in the organizations. Then another way is to try to make some changes where you find yourself. Make sure you involve yourself in make sure you grow yourself wherever you see yourself. Don't be stagnant in your career. You may not, the pay may not be able to make it maybe to start doing your master's, because here we are, is just do your master's and PhD and all that. But you can as well do some leadership courses, management courses, short period courses that will help you grow beyond where you are. Because if I have a facility and my employee is telling me, oh, I have this certification, when the opportunity comes, my mind, this person told me that she can do this. I would like to give the person a chance. Don't be stagnant in your career. Don't say, my work ends in the lab. No, your work goes beyond the laboratory. Then follow up your results. Once your results are not inconsistent with the prognosis, or the doctor is complaining, that try to make an input, try to showcase what you know. It may not yield an immediate result, but with time, people will start, your colleagues will start taking your opinion seriously. Involve yourself in presentations and seminars and workshops that are the hospitals or the center you are working, wherever you are working, make sure you do. You sell yourself. It's like selling yourself. Oh, this is what I can do. So it helps, because tomorrow when you want to negotiate your salary or demand for an increment, all these things counts. They will not like to lose you. They was like, you are bringing a lot to the table. But when you don't really make an impact, just come to work, do your bench work, produce result, and go home. You are not really making so much impact, and they can do without you. And so is now a work, is mostly work, an individual work, since our government now is not really ready. They are trying the little they can, but Nigeria has a major leadership challenge, which is at the end. It may not really be it may not even really be our council, but there is a major challenge. Once we don't have the right leadership, they will get the right leadership. Is now an individual race. That is basically that.
Actually, you made a very good point. I never really thought about that, but it's true that now that I think of it, I've remarked that people that come from places where they have a stronger work ethic, when they come to another laboratory and things are not done to the same standard, they feel uneasy. So they try and bring things back. And so it's true that if you are starting out, it could be an excellent idea to volunteer at a larger hospital where you know that the standards are a lot better, because it's going to help instill some of those practices in you so that you are used to doing them. And that way, when you go to new places, people will see the difference between you and then the other people who are already there, because there's an extra that you are bringing. There's a new level of performance, efficiency, accuracy that you are bringing, and not necessarily because equipment that you are bringing with you, but simply because of the knowledge that you are bringing with you and the practices. Yeah. Now, the certifications that we can get online when we do different sorts of online training, can those actually be used, like be sent with a CV? Like in Nigeria, do organizations take those into account, or do they function more by looking at what you say during your interview? Because my assumption was that it's not really about the certificate, but it's more about the way you can showcase what you know during the interview. But I don't know, over there, do they actually take those documents into account if, let's say, you got something from online organization? I guess if it's from the WHO or that sort of organization, it holds more weight. But what if it's like a private organization, maybe in Canada or in the US, that they may not have heard of in the past? What's the perception of those certificates?
It is well accepted here. It is. The certifications are well accepted. Then once you submit your CV, maybe it will be used to shortlist your name. Then during the interview properly is now, if you can now be able to back up the certificate with your raw knowledge by showing yourself, showcasing yourself, what you can do, telling them the importance of the certifications to the practice. Of course, it will enhance your chance of being selected and all that. And not just being selected, when you are doing the actual job, is also helps you. It's also like if you do a course in patient management, patient safety, how to take prioritize your patient's need. Of course, you will say that you will not have a lackadaisical attitude approach to your work. You make sure that you produce, you have the knowledge of turnaround time. You make sure that once work comes, because you know that laboratory investigation is critical to healthcare. So, of course, you would like to do your work. You'll be like, you want your patient to be fine. That's the thing. So it makes you to work, make sure you meet your turnaround time. But when you don't know about patient safety, your needs comes first. You'll be like, I'm tired. He didn't bring the sample on time, so it should be done this way. So your needs comes first. But once it really helps, I must tell you, it makes a huge difference in patient care. And once your patients are certified, your clients are certified, your management is happy with you. Of course, they should treat you nicely. That's it. So all those certifications, not just on a core laboratory practice, even in leadership certifications, management certifications. There are other courses that are coming up and all that. Equipment maintenance. How do you troubleshoot your equipment? Troubleshoot your results. All it makes they are little, but I must tell you they are what makes the difference. But if it makes a whole little because I'm a witness and also I've already I've experienced those differences. I can tell you that is worthwhile. The short courses, the free courses you do, don't say nobody appreciate. No, people I've seen people that gives more. People with those certifications that gives more than people that have gotten their masters and PhDs and all that. They put more effort. They give more reproducible results, precision, accuracy, do their equipment. That is good laboratory practice. It helps a lot. So I encourage my fellow scientists that we should look out for all these things. It will really help us to practice the profession and enjoy it.
Thanks a lot for all of these nuggets of gold that you shared with us here today. I hope it's not going to gloss over those that listen to this podcast, because if you really listen, there's actually a whole lot that was discussed that could actually be very important to you and your career in the future if you apply it. I think what we could also keep in mind is that what's important when you're starting, when you want to apply some of the things we discussed here today, is to know where you would like to go. Like it was said at the very beginning, figure out in what direction you would like to go and then pursue that. Make sure, going back to the idea of making sure that you can differentiate yourself from others. Apart from getting your degree, differentiating yourself from others may also mean trying to focus on what you find most interesting in the laboratory within specific parameters that you have chosen to focus on. If, let's say, you've decided, yes, you're a medical laboratory scientist, but you'd like to learn a little bit more about, let's say, biomedical engineering and then equipment and how the equipment function. There are tons of courses online and certificates that you could take that are going to tell you a little bit more about that particular aspect. If, let's say, you've decided that you're interested in automation, you can learn about that. If you're interested in laboratory information management systems, you can learn about that so that when you get to your laboratory, you can help them in that particular aspect. So it's important to know what you would like to focus on, what you find interesting, and then also what's needed on the market. Maybe it's quality control that you are interested in. So it's always something you need to keep in mind.
And also the technology is changing. We have new technology, so it's also affecting laboratory practice. Laboratory is moving from the normal traditional practice to more automation based. So we now have an interface where you just generate your results to the laboratory information management, the interface and all that. So you have to align yourself to this knowledge, try, even if you personally try to seek them out. And then also I want to say something that those the medical lab scientists, the grounded ones, the ones that they are good, the grounded in lab scientists in the practice, can also mentor the new ones. You can mentor one or two people, and help them to, because I noticed that the new ones now, there's this confusion. One, you are battling with, you're not getting the job. There's this when you open the internet, you are seeing what other countries are doing. We are far behind of what they are doing. So there is this course. Are you sure this is the laboratory science? This one I read is the one they are practicing there. So if they can mentor people anywhere, if you know that you have, you have gotten to at a point in the career, you can pick one or two young scientists and mentor them, teach them what you know, show them the right way, help them to make decisions. And when they come to you, bring out your time, your energy, and your resources. You can sponsor. One of my, I've seen someone that sponsor a young scientist abroad to learn equipment maintenance. Now he maintains equipment in the company. So we can sacrifice and help the profession grow. Even when we know that the government will not really do much for us, we can rally around ourselves and help ourselves to grow the profession so that we can compete with others out there,
Yeah.
and do what they do. And also, at the end of the day, is for the patient. The patient gets the best care, and once the client is satisfied, if you ask the person to pay a certain amount, the person will pay because he or she will get the value of his money, his or her money. So that's how it works.
All right. Thanks a lot for taking the time to share all this with us today. Hopefully, we'll have you again very soon. I can feel like you have a lot more to say that you haven't been able to say yet. Unfortunately, there isn't that much time for us today, so we have to stop here for today. But I'm sure people who watch this have learned already a lot more, and hopefully soon we can have another session to talk a lot more about other things like quality in the laboratory, and maybe a little bit also about research and the importance of research as also a specialty that many of us don't necessarily go into, and lots of other topics.
Yes.
Thanks again, and talk to you next time.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Bye.